Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. A pretty stunning article has dropped today regarding the Asenathi Ntlabakanye case, where it details the full sort of situation, process, and order of events that led from the Lions prop being on track to play for the Springboks at the World Cup next year to now being banned for 18 months due to taking banned substances in what was a very, very controversial trial and hearing, given the fact that the medication that he had taken was done under the supervision and guidance of the Lions medical team, and in particular, Dr. Rob Collins, who refused to testify at the hearing. And the more you look into it, the more you can see it. This is a massive failure on medical professionals' side that has led to a player's career not necessarily being derailed, but to a certain degree, because I think he can still come back. He's that good. But a huge missed opportunity for a player who will now serve an 18-month suspension and be ruled out of the next World Cup. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. This has been a very long and very depressing scenario, to be perfectly honest. You know, a player who didn't come from a traditionally big rugby school in Cincinnati College, for example, went there on a rugby bursary, took the school rugby world by storm, and has been coming through the ranks of the Lions really, really well, and taking a step up to the box also very well, and I think was on track to go to the World Cup. And basically what happened is there's been a massive failure on the part of two medical professions. And the more you look into it, the fact that especially the team, Dr. Rob Collins, not only refused to write the affidavit that was prepared for him after an interview with him, but refused to come to the hearing and refused to comment, sort of kind of shows you, I think, where things have gotten wrong. So this article, which is very good, written by Tennis van Staden, who's one of the top journalists in the country, speaks about the fact that on the 3rd of February 2025, Asenathi Ntlabakanye walked into the office with a brown paper bag full of medication and a prescription, which was basically the beginning of the end. And basically what happened is that Asenathi was trying to drop some weight. He's always been a very, very large lad, and even at his smallest, you know, weighs in around 140 kgs. Not that he is then slow around the park on that ring. He's an impressive athlete. But basically, he was trying to drop a bit of weight. And he approached the team doctor because the diet that he was put on, basically, and the conditioning program wasn't really working, and said that, you know, what do I do, basically? He was previously prescribed Ozempic by Dr. Rob Collins, but apparently made him nauseous, and it didn't work. And as a result, he went back to him and said, you know, what can I do? And he was referred to a specialist, and was told to go and see an endocrinologist, Dr. Cindy Banner, to assist with the weight loss. As a result, after going to that, he was referred to blood tests. He did the whole sort of medical checkup, and he was prescribed the medication. He then went to a follow consultation on the 3rd of February, where he was given the consultation, and he was not told that the medication contained a steroid or would affect his testosterone levels. In fact, Asenathi Ntlabakanye maintains, had he been told, that he would have never have taken it. He also then said, basically, in terms of the medication, he couldn't really understand what was on the script. He went to the pharmacy, he got the medication, and he went back to Dr. Rob Collins and said, right, this is what I've been given, you know, what now? The actual appointments and the likes of that were arranged by the Lions as well. You know, that's how sort of systematic this gets to. So he literally, they sent him over there. He went back to Dr. Rob Collins with the medication, and he basically, Rob Collins apparently gave him the quote-unquote all good or shup, saying that it was all good. Apparently, he then stored the medication, took copies of the prescription, and then told him to take him to the Lions administration so that they could sort out the purchasing of all the medication on a week-to-week basis. And the likes of that, and Alicia van Niekerk, who was an administrative officer within the Lions medical team, helped arrange the whole thing and was part of the administration. Now, she did testify. What's also very interesting is Dr. Ruan Jennis, who's the new Lions head of medical, also testified. And basically, he was having a handover period from Dr. Rob Collins to Dr. Jennis, and he assisted with a weekly injection of Monjaro, which was part of the whole thing. But that was the only, and he maintains that was his only involvement, because he didn't really know what was sort of being taken. And Ntlabakanye said that he didn't know the names of the pills, and it didn't concern him because he said that he trusted the staff. And he basically said, I've gone to the team doctor, I've gone to the administrative assistant or officer within the medical team. They've told me this to do. And interestingly enough, Alicia van Niekerk actually said that there would have been consequences had he not followed the instructions, and said that, and I quote, it would be viewed as the player not following advice or accepting help, said if he did not follow the doctor's orders within the Lions setup. So as an athlete, you go to the team doctor who works in the environment. You then get prescribed, you refer to a specialist. He comes and prescribes this. You go back to team doctor. You say, listen, can I take this? Is this all good? Does this make sense? You get told, yes. They help you get the medication. They pay for the medication. They store the medication. They administer the medication. And you are now putting your trust in these people's hands. Dr. Jennis actually testified that had he known what the other medication was, he would have applied for a therapeutic exemption where you can actually apply to, SAIDs and the likes of that for an exemption to use medication which is on the banned substances due to medical health reasons. Apparently, they said it would have been quite tough to have gotten it, but that is the due process. Right, we want to try use this. Can we use it? Basically, you ask for the exemption. If they say yes, then you use it. And if they say no, then you don't use it. But that is the process to take, step-by-step process to take. And he was not part of this process, was Dr. Jenner. And that's what he basically says. He said that Sandeep Banner maintained that the treatment was effective. And this is where it gets very, very muddy, because now it all comes out. Now there's a big case. And what happened is that Asenathi Ntlabakany's legal team reached out to Collins. They had a consultation with him. They spoke to him, and they prepared a affidavit on his behalf, and then sent to him and said, please, could he basically sign it off as part of the defense? And then Dr. Collins all of a sudden refused to testify and said he would not have anything to do with it. And he also refused to appear at the hearing itself, which was one of the key reasons that he got the ban. Because basically there was no testimony to confirm that this was the order of events from Dr. Collins' perspective, and he couldn't come out and say basically that yes, he had said yes or no. And the panel found that there was no compelling evidence the athlete knew he was violating anti-doping rules, which is why it's a bit of a reduced substance. But basically there's strict liability about what you put into your body, and the main thing is that they said that had Asenathi Ntlabakanye asked directly, does this medication contain a prescribed substance, he could have avoided the ban. Apparently, that's how, inverted commas, simple, or that's where he kind of came wrong. Now, Dr. Banner has spoken to report, didn't also arrive at the hearing, and basically said that a lot of what was being said about him was untrue. He said this to report, and he said that what they're saying isn't the case. But the fact is also he didn't go to the trial. He didn't partake in any of the proceedings. Now, Dr. Collins previously told the report that he did not wish to comment and did not respond on when they reached out to him once again. So you look at the entire situation, and really, really frustrating. I think it is a massive failure on the Lions' behalf, which I think we kind of knew, because when Aphiwe Dyantyi got suspended and banned, in fact, it was really bad. Regardless of whose fault it was, what happened, the Lions basically tore up his contract and said, right, you're done. Get out of here. This has been a very different situation. SA Rugby have stood behind Asenathi Ntlabakanye and provided him with resources and legal help and all the support. The Lions have stood behind him because this has been a systematic failure. And this is an athlete who he incriminated himself, because when it got to the form that you fill in, when you go to your testing, they fill in what medication you're taking, and he literally took the form and wrote down, this is what I'm taking. Because he, as far as he had and knew and spoken to medical professions, that he was allowed to take it, and he'd been prescribed, and he was told that he can take it and he should take it. So he basically just wrote it verbatim on a form, and now he is banned for 18 months. And Real Australia actually said that there was nothing wrong with the Lions process system, but it had not been followed by individuals. And what's also pretty damning is that according to Professor Joel Day, one of the expert witnesses within the matter, he said that the treatment prescribed by Dr. Banner was not justified by the athlete's clinical symptoms and laboratory results. He sticks by it, but that's where it gets messy. And I think it's so frustrating in a world where there is a lot of doping and active doping that we sit in a situation where a player has done everything that you should do. He went to medical professions, he asked for advice, and the entire union helped him sort of and basically helped with the administration of all this. And now he's been let down because of individuals who have not and are not willing to take responsibility either for their actions, not willing to partake in the ruling. Because if Collins, apparently previously said that it's full of untruths, if that is the case, then go and appear, go and sit in front of the panel and say, no, this didn't happen. But I don't think he can say that, which is why he didn't appear. And it's so frustrating because he's now, he's ruined an athlete's career. I think he'll bounce back, but he definitely won't have the career he could have had this not been the case. So it's such a frustrating situation, and it's a massive warning to players and I don't really know what the solution is, because the solution now is, well, we can't expect players to not have medical degrees, because the only way that he prevents this is if he goes and does his own research, Googles it, and tries to find out about this. But let's be honest, this is not a rugby player's forte. It's not anybody's forte. How many of us research thoroughly the medications we get prescribed? Maybe to a certain degree, we'll kind of look at the side effects, but how many of us are researching the ingredient list on the medications we take on a day-to-day basis to find out exactly what they are? And yes, they might be professional athletes, but they're still not medical professionals. And it's a player who reached out for help. He got this advice. He was given the wrong advice. They helped him take the stuff that he shouldn't have been taking. And now he's the one that gets punished. It's very, very cruel. It's very unjust. And I just hope that we really see him bounce back and that come the 2031 World Cup, he's there. And what a story it would be if he could lift the World Cup after this situation's happened for him. He's had such a good season for the Lions, one of the top players, a fan favorite, such a nice guy, humble beginnings, and he's just not going to play rugby for the next 18 months, which is very depressing. What are your thoughts about the situation? A very grim situation. Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.